News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
Welcome into Weather Extra. We got some stormy weather out there, starting with a flash flood warning until 9 o'clock this evening for Shelby County, Alabama. Let's get you to First Alert AccuTrack radar, show you what's on the radar. We've had some storms moving through, and look at the difference there. 75 right now, Fayette, Hamilton, down to 73, Haleyville, Jasper. Look to the east, Anniston, we're still baking at 87 right now, and 87 happening right now in Ashland. And where we have this hot, humid weather, that's where these storms are going to be popping here over the next couple of hours. So all this shifting mostly an East Alabama impact or threat in the short term. But I mentioned Shelby County flash flood warning. We've had over 2.5 to 3 inches of rain. The good news is you can see this is lighter rain that's falling right now, but that residual rain that will run off from all the heavy rain that moved through earlier, these storms slowing down. And these storms, when they put on the brakes, even if it's brief this time of the year, they can dump lots of rain. And that's why anywhere around Oak Mountain State Park here, look at this. There's Oak Mountain State Park. Let's see where we're at here. You're looking, there's Pelham. So back in here is where the amphitheater is located. There's Highway 31. Galleria, River Chase Galleria is right there. So you can kind of see all these locations, pretty much Cahaba Valley Road, over Oak Mountain. You get in towards Simsville Road areas. That's where we have some of the heaviest of the rain, all the way down towards Ballantree. You certainly want to play it safe out there. If you encounter any of those swollen waterways and small streams, try not to cross, because we are going to be seeing some heavy-duty runoff from that flash flooding that's been happening there. Didn't see a flash flood warning here across Chilton County, although we've had over 2 inches of rain in a lot of areas. We've been covered up here. This has been one of the more widespread coverages, the entire county getting some rain. It was more scattered yesterday, but you can see it really filled in today. Even Clanton getting a nice soaking, and those storms are still popping out there. Out around Lay Lake, folks need to stay put. Wouldn't try, if you were thinking about going on one of those evening, breaking the boat and the pontoon out for an evening cruise on this Friday going into the weekend, hold off, because we still have some lightning happening there around Lay Lake and Coal City areas, Pell City. We have some storms and some heavy rain still on that leading edge. And again, it's hot, it's humid out here. One thing you're going to notice, even if you don't get a lot of lightning or even much rainfall, that ominous looking shelf cloud most likely is going to reach all these areas here to the east, and you're going to notice that breeze. We've got that gust front that's been moving through the state from all the rain-cooled air. But you can see Pell City, the lightning strike count down to 10 over the past 15 minutes, so that's a good sign. Certainly storms have lessened in intensity here, but the forecast data telling us rain. If we see anything in the short term, we're going to see greatest chances here, areas south and east, as this slides on across the state. Now, more wet weather is going to be on the way for tomorrow. I'm thinking we're going to see some storms, but tomorrow, unlike today, I know I talked about it was going to be more afternoon, evening. I think tomorrow we could see some development before lunchtime. So that's going to be a difference maker for our Saturday if you have plans. And if we do get more storms early tomorrow, that would limit just how much we see in the afternoon. So it's all going to depend on timing and impacts, but these storms have really taken a lot of energy out of the air, and you can see even the wet weather back across West Alabama has tapered off. The rains ended in Tuscaloosa. Right now it's 74 degrees, maybe a little bit of fog around early tomorrow morning, but I've got some new data to show you that hourly breakdown for our Saturday. We'll talk about when to be on the lookout for wet weather Sunday and some hot temperatures. That's all coming up right here on First Alert Weather Extra. The building heat, more on the flooding. We've been talking a lot about Vermont. We're going to take you to Connecticut, where that flooding's been happening, and even though we're going to have some extreme heat, we've been dealing with it out west. They're dealing with it in Italy, and we'll have more on what's happening around the world as we continue right here on Weather Extra.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome into Good Day, Alabama.
A new morning comes with preparing right, because while you slept, news broke.
We have new information from that breaking news that happened this morning.
While you head out, the storm we gave you the first alert for is on its way in. And as the key turns the ignition, your shorter route to work is being found.
Avoid 459 southbound completely because of a crash.
A new morning means everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama, always on your side.
the first alert traffic you need to get you there safe and on time. Tomorrow morning, everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama.
You're late, out the door, and on the go. Don't worry.
Good Day Alabama continues all morning long.
And wherever you watch, this is what you need to know right now.
More reporters on the streets with more hours of news when you need it. Everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. Meteorologist Lauren Linehan here. Flash flooding in New England has left damage across states like Connecticut. And while everyone in the state has been trying to help to clean up, the fear is real that more rain, even lesser amounts than this past weekend, could still cause more damage. We check in with our sister station in Hartford for an update.
Sunday, the water was roaring down from the hills. The Johnson family is lucky its red house stayed on its foundation. And now, while the family and some friends spend most of their waking hours on cleanup and restoration, give them a lot of credit for making the best of a bad situation.
Yeah, because our picnic table and everything's all washed out, so we didn't really have a place to go, and we're all dirty from working outside, so we didn't want to go inside. Here we are.
In between meals, Roger and friends continue to repair the damage done by the floodwaters and try and rebuild and reinforce for the possibility of a next time.
Right now we're working on prevention. Like we're working on, the flooding brought a lot of silt in from all the way up the mountain. So we're trying to get all of that out in that dump truck over there.
The floodwaters did sizable damage that will take months to restore. In the meantime, the threat of more rain this weekend puts a fear in governmental agencies involved in getting things back to normal.
Any additional rain that we're going to get has the potential of causing flooding again and worsening the road conditions that we already have.
And those tough conditions made it difficult for Marissa and her crew to stay as long as they'd like to provide an outlet and supplies to the community.
The boy that I closed with on Monday, he lived right on one of the roads that were completely destroyed. I think it was a good call to get us out of here and home and safe. We are here for the community, we want to be, but we also have to look out for the team as well.
And in addition to flooding, millions of people are under dangerous heat warnings across the country. The Southwest and California's Central Valley face a rare extreme level of heat risk over the weekend, according to the National Weather Service. A doctor at Johns Hopkins School of Medicine says conditions could trigger heat illness in as little as 20 to 30 minutes for anyone outside, even less time for the elderly or those with pre-existing conditions. Laura Aguirre has the latest on the unrelenting heat's impact.
Triple-digit heat across much of the U.S., and it's only getting hotter. The National Weather Service says a heat dome will reach peak intensity this weekend over the western and southern U.S., pushing temperatures as high as 126 degrees or more across the region.
Heat is fatal. It is something that the public needs to take seriously, and it can impact everybody. Nobody is immune.
Phoenix, Arizona has seen temperatures over 110 degrees for 14 consecutive days. In 5 more, they'll break their previous streak. Forecasters predict over 100 daily heat records could fall over the next 3 days. More than 1,000 were broken in June. Outside workers like delivery drivers are struggling in extreme conditions where it can reach 130 degrees or more inside unair-conditioned trucks. Public pools are now critical cooling centers.
Having a pool like this nearby within a mile, 2 miles of your home is incredibly essential.
One environmental author believes fighting climate change starts with city planning.
But we have opportunities to do amazing things and build cities, for example, in new ways. I mean, a simple example is just sort of more green space and urban trees.
Building more climate change resilient infrastructure is an idea shared by the Biden administration.
Let's redesign it. Let's make it safer and more resistant to floods or droughts, wildfires, or whatever the biggest threat is.
I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Well, in Las Vegas, residents have been warned against going outside between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. The forecast there showing the city could top its all-time high temperature of 117 degrees on Sunday. Meanwhile, in California's Death Valley, the hottest place on Earth could touch 130 degrees this weekend, bringing it within striking distance of the all-time global high of 134 degrees. But it's not just in the U.S. Europe is in the grip of a blistering heat wave too, with Spain, France, Greece, Croatia, and Italy all reporting daily highs of 100 degrees, some even more, according to the European Space Agency. And we'll check in with Tania shortly about more on the Italian heat wave. But here at home, another steamy hot day for those who work outside, and that includes your mail carriers. Matt Cesney talked with some about the heat and a push for making things a little better in Florida.
We've been struggling, sweat, drink of water, trying to stay cool, but it's a struggle every day.
This postal worker who didn't want to reveal his identity talked about what it's like working in the heat and driving around with no AC.
It's 98 degrees, heat index about 115. Add another 10 for the inside of the truck, 125 degrees.
And you're spending how long in that truck?
A good 6 hours.
In Texas last month, a postal carrier died while on the job when the heat index was soaring. The death has prompted this letter from some members of Congress to the Postmaster General, saying they have deep concerns over the working conditions and labor policies of the Postal Service.
We've been pushing to get earlier start times since the carrier died in Texas.
Jeffrey Wagner is the president of the Postal Carriers Union, representing 1,500 carriers from Sebastian to West Palm Beach, and says so far the only change has been worse.
They're pushing our times later. They recently changed our start time starting this Saturday to 9 o'clock from 8 o'clock in some offices, and we want the push to get them back to 7:30. We believe it would be safer for our members.
Replacing the Postal Service's 30-year-old trucks with new ones with AC is expected to start late next year and takes several more to complete.
Well, much of Europe is sweltering, and climate scientists at the European Space Agency say it's only just begun. Italy, Spain, France, Germany, and Poland are all facing a major heat wave. The Italian Health Ministry has issued a red alert warning for 10 major cities, including Rome. CNN's Barbie Latza Nadeau has more on how people there are coping.
Rome, the eternal city, lately is more like the infernal city. A deadly heat wave gripping southern Europe has made those trying to enjoy a Roman holiday rather uncomfortable.
I mean, it's hot, but yeah, it is a little disappointing. I was thinking today, because we're planning to not be out when it's the hottest, we're missing some hours to be able to do stuff, but ultimately to be able to enjoy it the most, we are gonna have to cut out those hot hours of the day.
Temperatures are climbing and expected to top 40 degrees Celsius, 104 degrees Fahrenheit in Rome. Italians have named the heat wave Cerberus, after a figure in Greek mythology that guarded the gates of hell. Officials say the best way to combat the heat is with water, and Rome has no shortage of that. Rome has more than 4,000 public water fountains with drinkable water, and Rome's Civil Protection Agency has an app that will help visitors locate the closest one.
Sono messaggi di buon senso.
The command center head Giuseppe Napolitano tells us that common sense is key and staying hydrated is essential. So is using water to cool off, he says. But tempting as it may be to swim in a fountain, doing so runs the risk of a several $100 fine.
Oh, we can't stay out all day, that's for sure. Yeah.
I think we just have to take a lot of breaks and not try and overplan.
The heat wave is supposed to last at least through next week, and for most tourists, canceling is not an option. Which means another week of hell, not fit for man or beast.
Barbie Latza Nadeau, CNN, Rome.
Hey, that looked kind of refreshing there. I think I want to splash in my face too. But let's head over to Panama City Beach where you can go take a splash. Today, rolling out a new tool to educate you on the dangers of rip currents. It's a simulator that shows how quickly you can get swept up and pulled out into the deep waters. 7 people have died this year at Panama City beaches because of rip currents. The beach safety director says this is an accurate depiction of how fast you can be pulled into a deadly situation. Paul says he'll take the simulator anywhere he's invited to help save lives. And all right, everyone, you know what day it is. It's Friday, and you know what time that means. It's time for Mets Around the World. So last week we met with meteorologist Ben Cathy at WVLT, our sister station in Knoxville, Tennessee. And today we're going to bring Ben back because he's not done sharing his story and also giving us some tips on advice for aspiring meteorologists. You're going to enjoy this one, especially if that's your career goal in mind. Take a look at this video and enjoy part 2 of Mets Around the World with Ben Cathy.
What would you say are some of the most important qualities that has helped you be successful in your career as a meteorologist?
Oh my goodness. Great question, tough question. I think the curiosity that my parents instilled in me as an only child to always dig deeper why something is happening or when or how it's going to happen. A lot of people who have left the business in their first couple of jobs, they're like, this may not be me. It requires a little bit too much curiosity. I think drive, because as you know, it's not all my current shift. I worked the weekends. I worked a double for years. Being far away from family, being sleep deprived, getting up at 1 a.m. for storm coverage. I mean, it's tough. So I think the drive and wanting to know more about the weather, wanting to know more about the news world has gotten me here. But that's why I have to put the extra makeup under my eyes for the bags for when the weather is a little rough.
Oh, me too. Listen, I'm right there with you. Layer it on. Okay. So share one of your most memorable moments. It doesn't have to be a weather event, but just from working day to day, what are some of the things that you look forward to every day when you go into work, or one of your most memorable moments from the past?
Okay. So when I worked out in South Dakota a long time ago, I don't even think the company that owned the station then is around anymore. But we had the biggest coverage area of any station in America. We had the highest or some of the highest CBS ratings in America. So one day we had a blizzard with 43 inches of snow in one corner of our weather map. And we had an EF4 tornado at the end of the day as the system had gone across the state. So that was pretty eventful. And of course, there was a lot in between. But ice storms, hurricane landfalls. One thing that I get a lot of fulfillment from now is these climate pieces that I do. There's really no one around the Knoxville area where I'm based that does stuff like that. So that's been a unique challenge to kind of stretch how we showcase the news story and who we talk to, finding real people. So today's story about mosquito disease, we found a teenager who survived the mosquito-borne disease. He was in a coma. He's okay now. And we talked to experts. So those type of stories are very memorable to me for that reason.
Very cool. And so for anyone watching who may be aspiring to become a meteorologist or embarking on that journey now, what advice would you have for them?
I would say reach out to your local TV meteorologist. And when you're in high school, see if, hey, can I come job shadow? Can I see what life is really like? Because and this is true for any job, really, I think, before you invest in college education or something into something you're like, I'm not so sure, try it out. Find some people who are doing really cool things on social media, even if they're not in your town. That's easier than ever. And follow what they're doing. Maybe take a storm chasing trip that is kind of a gateway for a lot of future meteorologists to get into it. But I think getting that job shadowing or short-term internship, seeing if it's what you really want to do, have some frank conversations with people who are doing it, that is what I would recommend to people.
Great advice there. Well, you heard it right here on First Alert Weather Extra. And Ben just literally gave you free will to reach out to him. So all you guys blew up his phone. No, I'm just kidding. But thank you so much, Ben, for joining us today. It was a pleasure getting to learn about you and what you do. And I'm sure many people appreciate that as well.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
We heard the first alert. Mom says we have to go. She says I don't have time to grab any more toys.
Need to be in your tornado-safe place. Get there right now as you have.
We have to get to our safe place because sometimes when you hear the siren, it's too late.
Okay.
That's why she says knowing first is everything.
We know weather can be grab the umbrella or jogging shoes, but it's so much more. It's a science, an art, led by knowledge and experience.
And no one has more of that than a WBRC First Alert weather team.
Warning you first with more hours committed to you. And the first forecast built to see weeks, days, and even minutes ahead, right down to where you live. From the team you trust on your favorite screen.
Doing the weather better. The WBRC First Alert weather team, always on your side.
The first alert is more than a warning. It's a promise. A promise to get you out of harm's way with plenty of time to spare. 4 walls and a roof can be replaced. Lives can't. That's why knowing first is everything. First Alert Weather.
Welcome back into Weather Extra. We've had a flash flood warning in effect for Shelby County. The heaviest rains moved on to the east here. Had quite a bit of lightning earlier, but you can see the storms, they've slowed down, settling down there. Seems like they may be running into an environment here over East Alabama. The heat and the humidity and this little heat bubble's really wanting to hang on. But with it being so hot and humid, even through 10 o'clock tonight, if a storm popped out here, certainly a possibility, including Cherokee County. But you can see right now where some of that rain's building back in across Logan Martin, and it's kind of struggling now to make it even further east. But you get the picture here. Most of the rain that we're going to see, at least as we start off this next 24-hour period, will mostly be moving into the eastern part of the state. But all this will dissipate by midnight tonight. There will be another system that moves in our direction as we stay still in an active flow from the northwest out the door tomorrow morning. Some low clouds around, but it won't take long in the morning. We're going to see some development mid to late morning. I would plan for that possibility. I know today I talked about it'd be afternoon, evening. Tomorrow, watch out, starting around mid to late morning. If we do get a lot of storm activity in here before lunchtime, that's going to open the door to less active afternoon. I think it's going to take a lot of energy out of the air. However, if those storms do hold off closer to lunchtime, 1 o'clock, yeah, we'll see those impacts west to east into the afternoon. But the models do show some unsettled weather. There's 4 o'clock. It's kind of interesting here. You see the data is telling us there's going to be scattered storms, but also telling us that there's going to be a chance to heat up tomorrow into the low 90s. But the rain chances will stay elevated for our Saturday, 6 p.m. Still showing, if we don't get much during the day, could be some evening storms and things settle down tomorrow night, but we start to trend a little bit drier. There's still going to be some afternoon pop-ups on Sunday. Out in the Atlantic, I want to show you that subtropical storm Don has formed. It's out over the central Atlantic and it's going to stay out there. Notice Bermuda right here. Don's way out here. That system is going to stay well out in the Atlantic. If you have a trip, maybe a big vacation you've been planning to the Caribbean or Gulf of Mexico, no concern from that system as it's going to stay out. It's subtropical, sort of a hybrid. It's not a complete warm core low there, but it's out over the Atlantic. As we look at that 7-day forecast, the next big story for us, again, Sunday, some afternoon storms. Next week, upper 90s, that heat building for Tuesday, Wednesday, and into our Thursday. But a lot on radar still that we are tracking. Make sure you're paying close attention to that First Alert weather app, especially over East Alabama. We could have some more lightning alerts for this evening. Let's get a check on what's happening in the long range. Meteorologist Lauren Linehan joining us now as we go beyond the 7-day forecast.
Hey Wes, well, we're about midway through July here, and so as we get to that latter half of the month, looking at the forecast 6 to 10 days from now, it still looks like across the Gulf Coast. We had a story running about this early across the western and southern U.S. Still could be seeing the possibility of above average temperatures trending that way. And then as we look at that rainfall outlook, especially across the northern half of Alabama, 6 to 10 days from now, and possibly the mid-Atlantic parts of the southeast, the possibility of above average rainfall. So what could that look like in terms of temperatures? You know, if we have more rain around, that can help to knock down the heat a little bit. I still think we're going to be looking at the possibility of some above average temperatures next week. If we do end up getting maybe a little bit more rain in the forecast by next weekend and the following week, if you have a more unsettled weather pattern, that can help to knock down those highs a bit. And also the possibility of it being wetter, maybe temperatures getting down into the 60s, or if you get a little bit of drier air in here for those morning lows. Definitely not a guarantee, but listen to this. You know, we have been talking a lot about the space station views this past week, but you know, we're not the only ones here in the U.S. who have been hanging out on the space station or in outer space. Check out this video. India has successfully launched its third mission to the moon. The probe took off early this morning. This is India's second try at a soft landing after an attempt in 2019 failed. If all goes according to plan, on August 23rd, it will be the fourth country to land on the moon. And it's Friday, and I think what we're about to show you next, and Tania has told me, not only is it going to put a smile on your face, it's going to be putting a smile on mine. So I'm interested to see what this is. Well, here are this year's finalists for the comedy pet photos. We've got oh my God, come on. Oh my goodness, we've got a cat performing his best victory pose, a dog leaping through the air. Wow, he got some air there. Another dog jumping headfirst into the sand, and a cat sticking there. Oh my God. Looks like an ostrich, but definitely more of a canine there. And a cat sticking their tongue out. The 24 finalists will be judged by a panel of expert animal lovers. Ooh, I may need to sign up for that. The winner will be announced on August 11th. I feel like I need to throw in my opinion to the, oh my gosh. Ah, that's a cute one. God, that's a beautiful dog. Let's see. Ooh, I feel like I looked like this when I got out of bed this morning, a little bit. And oh, look at that cute little cat. Oh, I just want to rub his tummy. I don't know how long this video goes on, but I want to keep it on. Oh, that's beautiful. Wow. That looks like 101 Dalmatians, you know, where the owner is walking and they look like they're dog. That doesn't look like a dog. It looks like maybe a little rat of sorts. But we love those.
Otter.
If you have, yeah, an otter. Yes, an otter playing tennis. We love that. So we may not have cute animal photos tonight on the news, but join us back here for First at 9 with Chief Meteorologist Wes White with an update on your forecast. And then, of course, check in with Fred and Tania over the weekend, tracking any storms and, of course, the heat and humidity around. Surprise, surprise, it's summer. And you can join us here on Weather Extra every weeknight at 6:30. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Please have a safe and happy Friday evening.